everyone! Welcome back! So I recently released a video about Shabbat and some of the rules and traditions that we observe during this time. But that was all very technical. So today I'd like to share with you all how we put all of those into practice. If you'd like to watch that one first, I'll leave a link in the description. Otherwise, you can follow along with this one. So what does Shabbat look like in a Jewish household from the pre-Shabbat prep to the post-Shabbat rituals? Let me show you the routine so you can have a better understanding of what it's like. Here we go! The journey begins for some people on Thursday night. In certain big families, they'll begin cooking quite a bit in advance, as cooking on Shabbat is not allowed, and sundown in the winter can be quite early, so there won't be much time on Friday. In addition, they'll make enough to feed their family for Thursday as well. It'll often be farfel or chicken soup that is prepared ahead of time. This of course depends on how late the sundown is, how many people the cooking is for, and of course the personality of the person. On Fridays, the real work begins. The day starts out as usual, but gets chopped off short at what we call chatzot. At 12 in the winter or 1 o'clock in the summer, all work ends. Schools close early. Usually Jewish day schools dismiss between 4:15 and 5:15, and businesses close as well. Now the focus is getting ready for the holy day. So of course, the remainder of the food still needs to be cooked. This means fish, meat, cholent, kugel, dips for the challah, and much more. The menu is completely different in a Sephardi or Spanish descent household. Sephardic families generally come from, or have ancestors from, Spain, Syria, Morocco, and the south of France. Therefore, their cooking resembles that, and they will celebrate the Sabbath with the local delicacies of that region. Ashkenazi Jews, or those of German descent, will often have cooking resembling that of Hungary, Poland, Austria, Russia, Ukraine, the north of France, and Romania. Generally, people shower before Shabbat and not during, as there comes an issue with the ban of squeezing or wringing out on Shabbat. Since wringing out a sponge, fabric, or your hair isn't allowed, taking a shower on Shabbat is generally not allowed. There's also a ban on heating water on Shabbat, so that is another component to the Shabbat shower ban. Therefore, it is common for everyone to take a shower before Shabbat and change into nice clothes. This is also the time to cut your hair or pluck your eyebrows, as removing a growing thing from its root to cease the growing is not allowed on Shabbat. It is now 15 minutes before Shabbat. This is the usual time for guests to arrive if you're having people over. Since driving or getting into a vehicle at all is not allowed on Shabbat, the guests will stay for the next 25 hours. It is polite for the guests to bring a dessert or a bottle of wine to thank the hosts for the stay, but it's not obligatory. It is now 18 minutes to sunset. The time window has now opened for the Shabbat candle lighting. In the next 18 minutes, the women will have to light candles to mark the beginning of Shabbat. The last hour has been hectic. The last minute cooking is just getting off the stove. The lights have been turned on and off as desired, because once the candles are lit, they cannot be changed. The showers have been in constant use, and the house has been cleaned up. The women light the candles and then cover their faces to say the blessing. Everyone gathers for this moment, and as she uncovers her face, everyone will greet each other, I get Shabbos, or Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, yeah. Shabbat Shalom, yeah. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, yeah. Shabbat Shalom, yeah. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom.
At this moment, peace settles over the household. There is a settled feeling in knowing that whatever text messages you may receive will remain unread. Whatever food is cooked will be eaten. Whatever lights are on will stay on. And whatever people you're with will be your sole company. The air is still and Shabbat has officially begun. Now it is time to go to synagogue. But what can you expect when entering a synagogue? Well, for one, men and women will always be seated separately. Women will either sit on the balcony, as you can see in the synagogues of Oslo, Helsinki, and Tallinn, or there'll be a separator, or machutza, as you can see in the synagogue of Barcelona. In the evening, there are 3 prayers said. First is the afternoon prayer of Mincha. The second one is Kabbalat Shabbat, the receiving of Shabbat. Much of this is sung, and it's a wonderful way of showing praise to God for the gift He's given us, the day of rest. The third is Ma'ariv, the daily evening prayer. The evening prayers usually don't take long, and everyone eagerly returns home for their delicious Shabbat dinners. The table has been set before Shabbat, traditionally with a white tablecloth, so that all that needs to be done now is put the food on the table and begin the feast. Well, almost. First, everyone will sing Shalom Aleichem together. Welcome to the angels of Shabbat. The 2 chalot that are on the table will be covered, and the head of the household, usually the eldest male, will pour himself a cup of wine for the wine blessing. During the wine blessing, everyone must stand around the table and say Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen.
Then, everyone takes a sip of grape juice or wine in honor of the blessing. Now it is actually time for the food. Everyone will file into the kitchen to do the ritualistic hand washing for bread. You wash your hands using a cup and say a special blessing. Once you've said the blessing, though, you are not allowed to speak until you've swallowed your first bite of bread. Now that everyone is back at the table, in complete silence, the eldest male will say the blessing on the bread, and everyone will say Amen. This is the only thing one is allowed to say during this period. He will then dip the challah, or bread, into salt, eat a piece, and then slice the rest of the loaf for everyone. Now that everyone's eaten some bread, the chatter may continue. The first course is served, and now's the time for some light conversation and good food. After several courses and dessert, one is free to silence everyone to give a brief speech about the Torah portion of the week. There are 54 parshiot, or segments in the Torah, and every week one is represented. Keep in mind that the Jewish calendar runs a little different. One can take inspiration from the Torah tellings and the Torah commentators and can share their take with everyone at the Shabbat table. There's also a lot of singing done at the Shabbat table. The joyous songs sung at the Shabbat table are called Zmirot. By now, the little children have been put to sleep, and everyone's been sitting at the table for at least 2 hours. It is time to clear the table without doing the dishes, of course. Often, a card or board game is initiated, and this can last into the night. Without cell phones, everyone is very present and connected, and this evening is always a joy. Now it is early Shabbat morning, and there are 2 options on how to start your day. One is for the ambitious or very religious people. You wake up at 7 a.m. and go to synagogue. Men generally go as they were given the commandment to pray in a group, while women don't have the obligation to pray at all. But how does one do this without the use of an alarm clock? Electronics, battery run or plug-in devices are not allowed. Personally, I use this Shabbos alarm app, which rings 4 times and then turns itself off so that I don't have to touch my phone. Again, like a light, if you set it before Shabbat and you do nothing to affect it on Shabbat, then it is allowed. This will work for some people. I have slipped through it while jet-lagged though, so it's not foolproof. After getting dressed and doing some Shabbat-approved grooming, you can walk to your nearest synagogue. I say Shabbat-approved as applying makeup is not allowed due to the fact that it is considered a form of painting, which is forbidden. Nor is detangling your hair or smearing cream allowed. Therefore, you can use a soft bristled brush to smooth out your hair so that it looks nice without running it through your hair and potentially ripping hairs out. This connects to the same rule I have previously spoken about. Before leaving your home, be sure to check your pockets to make sure that you're not breaking another Shabbat rule, carrying. On Shabbat, carrying items outside of an enclosed area is forbidden, so be sure to empty your pockets before stepping out from between your walls. Many cities that have a big Jewish population will create an erev, or a complete enclosement around the city, so that everyone can carry on Shabbat whatever they'd like. I was fortunate enough to grow up in a community with an erev, but struck a problem after moving to live in Oslo for a while. What do I do with my apartment key? The most common solution is making the key a part of your clothes. So often you'll see belts with a key instead of a buckle, or necklaces with a key instead of a charm. While meeting some people during the Shabbat community dinner of Helsinki, one of the first questions I got was, I see you have a key on your necklace. Are you Shomer Shabbat? Now you've gotten to the synagogue and settled in your seat. Once there is a minyan, or a congregation of 10 men above the age of 13, the prayers can begin. The prayers kick off with Shachrit, the morning prayers. While Shachrit is said every day, this Shachrit is extra special, and many prayers have been added to connect with the one above on his special day. Also, a few small changes have been made to different blessings during the standing prayer, Shmona Esrei. If you've never been to a synagogue before and seen this prayer, this may confuse you a little, but this part is said quietly, standing facing the ark, and everyone bows during certain blessings. For the end of the morning prayer, the ark is opened up, and everyone stands and sings as the Torah is brought out. The men will each get a chance to kiss the Torah, and I've seen that in certain synagogues, the women will get a chance to kiss the Torah as well. This is not always done though because of a convenience problem with the women being on the next floor. Now comes the Torah reading. You can either keep along, reading the Torah out of your Chumash, or you can just listen quietly as the cantor reads the Parsha portion of the week. This generally takes minimal half an hour. The Torah is soon returned to the ark, and the morning prayers are wrapped up. Now begins a special prayer, which is only said on Shabbat and the holidays, called Musaf. It is relatively short and many parts are sung together. Now that the prayers are completed, it's time for the social part of synagogue. After prayers, it's common for a synagogue to hold a kiddush, where someone will say the wine blessing, this time on vodka or another alcoholic drink, and then everyone is free to converse. Usually, refreshments are served, like pastries, herring, and fruit. Soon it is time to return home. Now, do you remember there was another option other than get up and go to synagogue? If you've decided to skip the communal prayers this week, you are free to sleep in until 1 p.m. as you have no phone to check, no work to do, no house to clean, and no food to cook. In fact, that Friday night, Saturday morning sleep is pure bliss. You'll have to get up once someone comes knocking at your door that whoever has gone to synagogue has returned, and the Shabbat lunch will soon begin. There's a secret third option. This is being woken up by your 5-year-old thinking that your head is a hippity hop. In this scenario, you'll be spending your Shabbat morning trying to wrestle a yogurt into your child's mouth. But truth be said, it is the best time to connect with your child. Without any technology, you can cuddle up on the couch together reading them a kid's book, or build a castle out of Legos for hours. You don't have any other responsibilities or distractions, like shopping and laundry, and you can bond with your little ones in the purest way. So what foods are eaten for the Shabbat lunch if cooking is not allowed? Challah and dips is one food, and the hand washing is done just as the night before. Egg salad is also a popular option, as the eggs have been cooked the day before and can now be mashed, seasoned, and served. Salads are often served as well, as they require no heat. In most households, there will be a hot plate where pre-cooked fish can be reheated and served, and a stew or cholent can be kept hot. During this meal, Torah inspirations can be shared as well. There will be the singing of the Zmirot, and long conversations will be held as everyone connects after a long week. Once the table has been cleared, the fun can begin. An array of card and board games are brought out, as TV isn't an option. For the remainder of the afternoon, you can chat with friends and family, play games, read books and magazines, or take strolls through your neighborhood, avoiding heavy exercise, of course, as work is not allowed. Snacks that are served during a relaxed game of Rummy Cub are often Bisley snacks, shelled sunflower seeds, and diced melon or fruit. There is a requirement to eat 3 meals during Shabbat. In the summer, this is no problem. By 7 p.m., the sun hasn't set yet, and dinner can be served from a hot plate or a crock pot. But in the winter, when the sun sets at 4, a light snack is often eaten to meet the requirements. In the afternoon, there is one more short prayer said, called Mincha. During this, the cantor will read a preview from the Torah portion of the following week. About an hour after sunset, or once 3 stars show, Shabbat is officially over. But there are still some undone traditions. Before someone does muktzah, or forbidden actions, one must say, Baruch Hamavdil ben Kodesh lechol. Bless the difference between the everyday and the holy day. This is usually when the phone dash takes place, and for about 10 minutes there's absolute silence as everyone catches up on what took place outside from the small perimeter from where they live. The last thing that is done regarding Shabbat is a ritual called Havdalah. The eldest male of the household usually does this. He begins with a wine blessing while everyone stands around and says Amen. We say a blessing and sniff cloves as a way of uplifting our senses, and dip our hands close to the fire of the candle he's holding to show our nails in the light emitted by the flame. Saturday evening, after Shabbat has ended, is called Motzei Shabbat. It is common for people to go out during the longer Motzei Shabbatim in the winter. Kosher pizza shops can have a 1.5 hour wait time for a pie on Motzei Shabbat, and malls, arcades, and bowling alleys are usually packed. After all, everyone's been cooped up inside for quite a while. The last remainders of the Shabbat joy, the leftover challah, is being devoured as French toast on Sunday morning. Now that you've gotten an inside tour of a normal Jewish weekend, would you like to try it out sometime? Would you be able to abide by all these rules, or do you prefer lounging with your phone on the weekend? What part of this would you incorporate in your life? Let me know in the comments. I get Shabbos, and tak for die dag, lehitraot, tschüss, and auf Wiedersehen.
מלכי המלאכים הקדוש ברוך